What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. Welcome to your stimulus check update, stimulus package and infrastructure update, and very exciting daily news video for Friday, July 16th. Now, here's what we're going to discuss in today's video. First, we have the nation's very first state-funded universal basic income program. This is big, and I want to explain why people in this state should be excited, plus people in other states as well. We're going to talk about the fourth stimulus check. We're going to talk about universal basic income. Obviously, I have a warning for many of you regarding the child tax credit payments. We're going to get into that. We have something going on for Canadian travel as well. So that's actually pretty big news, came out yesterday. And we have something regarding mortgages and rent. So I want to break down everything that's going on right now. But first, if you could do me a favor, go ahead, hit that thumbs up button if and only if you enjoy these daily uploads, and consider subscribing so that I can continue to keep you updated on everything that is going on. Now, let's get into the update for today. First, California. Okay, the state of California, they just approved the nation's very first state-funded, fully funded, okay, government or guaranteed income program. Now, why is this so important? This is so important because this is the very first one. Initially, we were looking into something like LA County was potentially going to do a universal basic income program. However, according to this report, and according to State Senator Dave Cortese, he said yesterday, and I quote, "I'm excited that 40 million Californians will now get a chance to see how guaranteed income works in their own communities." Now, this is going to be the largest universal basic income in this country. This legislation was actually agreed upon 26-0 in the Senate and 64-0 in the state assembly. The amount at this point as to how much every single resident would receive, this is currently unknown, but this will most likely be anywhere between $500 and $1,000 per month. We also do not know exactly who qualifies for this just yet, but again, 40 million people, 40 million Californians will receive this fully guaranteed income every single month. Again, we don't know how long this will go, but the majority of these kind of programs, and specifically in California, they are normally going on for about 2 years, and this is more of a trial period. So I expect it's going to be anywhere from 1 to 2 years, and then we will see, and they'll kind of reevaluate and go from there. But even if you don't live in California, and I know I'm going to get this, is I don't live in California. Why should it matter to me? Well, I don't live in California either. I live in Washington State. Now, what we are going to see, and this is something that we need to keep an eye on, is that we would most likely see, and this is what experts are anticipating, is if this program, if we see success from this program, if we see Californians are lifted out of poverty, if we see that they're able to, not only afford food and rent and start to come off other federal programs, right? SNAP benefits. They don't need to live in affordable housing, right? If all these things start to happen, then this would be a successful trial. And if we see success from this program, I guarantee you other states are going to implement this as well. It wasn't very long ago where there was just a handful of universal basic incomes throughout the country. And now in almost every single state, there are multiple programs trying to provide a guaranteed income to the residents. So, do I think we're going to see this just take over the United States and every single person is going to have universal basic income? It's possible. It would take a while, but do I think there's a chance? Yes. Obviously, there's a chance, and we could see this happen. But again, I just wanted to provide this little update to you guys because I believe, and after reading a lot of different experts' expectations as well, they too believe that we will start to see more states offer this exact same thing. So we will see, but as I know more, I promise I will share more. Now, let's get into the child tax credit issues. Yesterday, millions and millions of families received $250, $300 per child, and this was a big big day for Democrats. They've been applauding this for the last month or so. They've been saying that stimulus is coming, relief is coming, assistance is coming. It is all coming. Well, what we know is that yes, yesterday the child tax credit payments did hit millions of people's bank accounts. However, some are still waiting on this money. Well, here's the warning that I want to give you. According to experts, they are saying that we need to remember that this piece of legislation was passed in a budget reconciliation bill. Why is this important? Well, if you remember, like with the last stimulus checks, the $1,400 stimulus checks did not have any protections associated with them, which meant if you owed anything for a garnishment, back taxes, right? You had creditors coming after you. They could take your stimulus check money. Now, some states actually put out a thing saying that no, they couldn't. Okay, they made that illegal where they couldn't. But if you remember, this was because of the Senate's rules. The Senate parliamentarian had to pull out that verbiage. Now, this piece of legislation, the child tax credit payments, this is another form. This is another piece of legislation that could not have that. So, what you need to keep in mind, these payments, they can be garnished. Okay, this is according to multiple reports, is that people can take your money. If you got creditors coming after you, they can take your money. So just be careful. Just be aware of this. Okay, use the money if you need to. Pull it out. Okay, just make sure it is safe. Now, let's get into stimulus checks, being that we're talking about that right now. First off, a lot of lawmakers are saying that they will be adding in a stimulus check at some point or another. But according to a report late last night, lawmakers are indicating that they are waiting. They're simply waiting to include a stimulus check until the very last minute. The reason for this is because they say, hopefully, this will allow them to, this will allow the stimulus checks more time. More people would be in favor of them, and by having them added in at the last minute, this would hopefully avoid them being pulled in favor of something else. And this is true. This is something that we see all the time, is that, oh, well, lawmakers are wanting to see, let's say this IRS provision in the next package. All right, perfect. Everybody's like, yeah, that's a good idea. Let's use it. That's going to pay for this bill. Awesome. Everybody's in agreement. Well, then weeks go by and people are like, I was thinking about that. We don't need that money. We don't need the IRS money. Let's use that money for something else. And then the IRS provision gets pulled in favor of something else. Well, if you wait until the last minute, there's a couple of things that could happen. One, yes, you could get that piece of legislation included and it doesn't get pulled because it's a last minute add-on. Or the second thing is, and this is the risk, is there's no additional money. Nothing else is going to be pulled, and so there's no way to include a stimulus check into the package in the end. So there's two different options here. There's two different scenarios. We'll see. But what I can tell you is lawmakers are going to continue to push for this. I know the American people, this is popular legislation, but again, like I stated before, if we see the child tax credit payments have any success, then we could potentially see stimulus checks go out to those that miss out on these payments. However, if we see the child tax credit payments kind of go away at the wayside, right? We don't see them really work. The American people aren't spending the money like they should. If we start to see this, then stimulus checks might be in doubt. So just keep that in mind. Something else. This is actually pretty big. It's big for people with a mortgage and for renters. What we know, and let's just talk about renting first. Rental agencies are starting to actually lighten up their restrictions and their requirements to get the money. Multiple reports out this past week are stating that out of the $50 billion for rental assistance, around 5% has actually gone out. 5% has gone out to the American people. The states have actually received their money, and they received their money months ago. And so they're, according to multiple officials, they're saying that states should not have all this money just sitting and doing absolutely nothing. So this means about $45 billion is still pending. I think it's actually over 45 billion. I think it's close to 47 billion dollars is still pending, and the federal eviction moratorium ends in 15 days. So we don't have time to wait around. And this is one of the reasons why, according to a few different agencies, they are going to lighten up their requirements as we speak. So that's good news there. We also have some guidance from the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau and the Federal Housing Finance Administration. Now these new rules, okay, I'm going to explain the rules in just a second, but these new rules will take effect on August 31st, 2021. And they state that lenders can't offer a loan modification that will increase your monthly payments. So if you have a mortgage and if you've taken mortgage forbearance over the past year, you need to understand that a lender cannot increase your amount that you owe. They can't increase it. They can extend it, okay? They can extend it to make back the money that you missed and make back those payments. They can extend it, but according to the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, that's the CFPR or CFPB, they are actually stating that you could go from a 30-year loan to a 40-year loan. They state that lenders can extend the term of the loan by no more than 480 months. So, just to give you an idea, okay, you can, let's say you just bought a house and then it went into, you took mortgage forbearance for whatever reason. Well, if this were the case, a lender could essentially push back your loan an additional 40 years. So you could almost have a 70-year loan, technically. Now, a lender's not going to do that. They obviously aren't going to go and take on a 70-year loan, but they could. Okay, this gives them the ability, the opportunity to do that. So this, if by extending a 30-year loan to a 40-year loan, it would actually make your payments cheaper. Okay, it would make it easier to pay for. It would make any of the payments that you missed, you could easily get caught up on those, right? And so this would actually be a good thing for many people that do hold a mortgage, especially if you're still struggling at this time, that this is almost like getting a little bit of a discount on your mortgage every single month. So it's actually pretty good news there. Now, I want to bring this up to you kind of regarding stimulus checks, kind of regarding direct payments, because lawmakers are discussing, and this is something that many economists are predicting as well, is that we will see a housing crisis very soon. If we see a housing crisis, first off, these child tax credit payments are going to do very little, okay? Because if families, let's say a family of four, the husband, wife, or whatever, right, 2 adults, 2 children, family of 4, if they are getting, let's say, $500 per month, great. The problem is if they don't have a home and they have to spend their money on a hotel, or if they have to spend their money on something else, right, just to try to stay afloat for a little bit. If they don't have a home, they get evicted. Well, how does that bring children out of poverty? Just because they have a little bit more money, but now they don't have a home. They're homeless. They're homeless, but they're out of poverty. Does that make sense? No. And this is why many are saying that as the eviction moratorium expires, additional direct payments should be required. So we will see if that happens. My expectation is no, we don't see this happening right at the beginning of August. Again, we're 15 days away from the federal eviction moratorium. This is from the CDC. Now, some states have already extended their state moratorium, so just keep that in mind. You may be in one of those states. But if we don't see this, some are saying that we will most likely not see any additional stimulus or support in August. Again, this is when lawmakers are on recess, or they're supposed to be. But we could potentially see this sometime in September. Remember, lawmakers will come back, I believe, on September 12th. Or September... Oh, where is September? There's September 13th. They would come back to Washington, okay? This means that as the unemployment benefits expire on September 6th, a week later, lawmakers come back to Washington, which means we could potentially see not only the infrastructure packages being voted on, possibly the first or second week, okay, is when they come back, so that would actually be the second or third week of September. We could see that. Or some are saying we could see talks on unemployment, we could see talks on stimulus, we could see talks on rental assistance and the eviction moratorium as well, because some are expecting we will see a housing crisis very soon. Again, we're about 15 days away, so we'll see what happens coming up, but this is something to be aware of. So, as I know more here, I promise I'll fill you in on those updates as well. But now let's get into some other news, and this is actually coming out of Canada. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau yesterday stated that fully vaccinated Americans could be let into Canada for essential or non-essential travel as soon as the middle of August, so in 1 month. But he also goes on to say vaccinated travelers from other countries could enter as early as September as well. So this is actually pretty big news, but he does state that all this depends on how the COVID cases are going around those times. So as I know more, I promise I'll come back and share more. Just want to thank you guys for watching today's update. If you have any questions whatsoever, please ask your questions down in the comment section below. Consider subscribing so I can continue to keep you updated on everything that's going on, and I'll see you guys on the next one.